interesting Game of Thrones. Now, in the last segment of the show, before we had our news break, I mentioned news that I found remarkable. That's why I remarked on it. And that was the news that in the first polling data out of Michigan, Kid Rock is leading the Democrat incumbent. Now, there's still a large number of undecided respondents, but in people that have already made up their mind, Kid Rock is already leading the incumbent. This doesn't say a lot about Kid Rock. It may not even say a lot about the incumbent there. It just says a lot about where we are in regards to wanting something else from our elected officials. If somebody like Kid Rock, no offense to you, the Kid Rock lover, but if a guy like Kid Rock can walk right in and automatically be in the lead, this phenomenon with someone like President Trump becoming president is not all about the personality of Donald Trump. It's more about the personality of the electorate wanting something different. Kid Rock in the lead in Michigan. Now this what I guess a lot of money is going to suddenly get funneled into Michigan in that race, and probably not Republican money. It'll probably be, there are a lot of Republican donors that would probably feel strange writing a donation to Kid Rock. A lot of Democrat money will go there. But in a race like that, does anyone, I don't know that money will even matter there. What an odd situation we are in, that Kid Rock can be leading already in the polls. Let me go to the email inbox. Subject line on the email is Senator Rock. Email reads, "Good Monday to you, Henry. Senator Kid Rock is no harder to imagine than having a former bonehead cast member from Saturday Night Live as a senator." Oh, too late for that one. And that email from the Common Man. Common Man, good point. Who's next in the Senate?
710 Time Saver Traffic from the Main Street Flooring and Design Traffic Center.
A lot of heavy rain on radar this morning. Right now, the heaviest cell is moving sort of southeast through Baldwin County after making life very wet for the Bayway Drive across Mobile Bay this morning. So you're going to have that to contend with, at least for a lot of drivers this morning. No big accidents or breakdowns on the interstate system, at least for the time being. We do have our crash in Pensacola that's been with us for a while, North Palafox and Fairfield. With Time Saver Traffic, I'm Ray Romero.
This report is brought to you by LifeLock. It's morning. Here's an eye-opener. LifeLock can see more threats to your identity than you can see if you're just monitoring your credit. And if something happens, a U.S.-based specialist can work to fix it. Go to LifeLock.com. Use promo code RISK to save 10%.
Now, Gulf Coast weather from Local 15.
It is going to be a muggy Monday along the Gulf Coast. We've got about a 60% chance of storms today, so grab that umbrella. We'll top that at 89 degrees, overnight low of 74, and a 40% chance of storms by Tuesday. A high temperature of 91 degrees. I'm Kelly Foster for Local 15 News in this iHeartRadio station.
This report is brought to you by LifeLock. It's morning. Here's an eye-opener. LifeLock can see more threats to your identity than you can see if you're just monitoring your credit. And if something happens, a U.S.-based specialist can work to fix it. Go to LifeLock.com. Use promo code RISK to save 10%.
Traffic updates every 10 minutes on the 9s every morning. This is the Uncle Henry Show on News Radio 710 WNTM.
Uncle Henry Show. Thank you for listening to the Uncle Henry Show. Coming up in about 10 minutes, A review of the filthy Game of Thrones on HBO last night. Truly an ordeal to have to sit through that last night. Email address unclehenry@gmail.com. Coming up in the 9 o'clock hour this morning, Smart Home America will be here to talk about resiliency, fortified roof, saving on your homeowner's insurance, all that kind of stuff. We'll get into that in the 9 o'clock hour this morning with Smart Home America. Over the weekend, the president tweeted. In fact, I better go make sure he's not tweeting right now. The president tweeted so many things Saturday that there were news stories just about a lot of he's tweeting this morning. Here are the new tweets. Tweet number 1 of the morning and by the way, what a blessing. I don't have to think now. I can just relate to you President Trump's tweets. And my show's done. Tweet 1, drain the swamp should be changed to drain the sewer. It's actually much worse than anyone ever thought, and it begins with the fake news. It's pretty good. Next tweet. After 1 year of investigation with zero evidence being found, Chuck Schumer just stated that Democrats should blame ourselves, not Russia. So those are our first 2 tweets of the morning from President Trump. The drain the swamp tweet. I think that this is what the Donald Trump base likes the most about Donald Trump, is that he always punches at the establishment and the media. And people want this almost every day from him, that it satisfies some type of urge. I'm trying to understand the psychology of all this. But the tweet, drain the swamp, should be changed to drain the sewer. It's actually much worse than anyone ever thought, and it begins with the fake news. Great tweet. And it's one of those tweets that those that are in the sewer really will have a hard time defending themselves from the tweet. Vague enough. The more intriguing tweet of the weekend, I think, was Saturday's tweet where he mentions the possibility of pardons. I hope he tweets about that again, because that drove people nuts. Just using the word pardons, which he does have the ability to pardon anybody really for anything. And that's power that, yes, is always controversial, but other presidents have used it quite often. I hope he throws us a tweet on that today. We'll get into more of that later in the hour. Coming up next, a review of Game of Thrones. Last night's episode especially disgusting.
Take care of your skin. See Dr. Thomas Bender at Advanced Dermatology and Skincare Center. Dr. Bender sees patients in Mobile, Daphne, and Bay Minette. Find out more online at advanceddermclinic.com.
Listen to Mo Brooks, a never-Trump politician personally attacking Donald Trump.
I don't think you can trust Donald Trump with anything he says. Donald Trump is the likely loser in that he has alienated so many people in Republican Party ranks through his callous insults. Donald Trump, one candidate that is so belittling, so insulting. I was just asked if I'm going to endorse Donald Trump after things unfold with Donald Trump having this so-called insurmountable lead. And I said, no, I'm not. Donald Trump voters, 12 to 18 months from now, they're going to regret their votes for Donald Trump.
A month before the election, talk radio asked Mo Brooks if he was voting for Trump. Brooks responded, I didn't say that.
That means you're going to vote for Donald Trump.
I didn't say that.
Days before the election, Mo Brooks even called Donald Trump evil. Brooks called our president evil. 35-year career politician Mo Brooks, a never-Trump Washington insider. Paid for by Strange for Senate.
I'm Luther Strange, candidate for U.S. Senate. I approve this message.
Home isn't just a place, it's a feeling that you're safe to enjoy the things that matter most. ADT lets you take that feeling with you. Whether you're at home, your business, or online, we help keep you safe. With security systems, home automation, alarms, and surveillance, so you can feel at home wherever you are. Go to ADT.com to get that feeling for less than $1 a day. ADT, home, safe home.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans. Every day people ask me, can I still take advantage of today's low rates? Is it still a good time to refinance? The answer is yes. Now's a great time to call Quicken Loans at 800-QUICKEN. The rate today on a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is 3.99%, APR 4.19%. Call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to QuickenLoans.com. That's 800-QUICKEN.
Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org, number 3030.
It's a good.
And good morning, Facebook. To those of you watching on Facebook here in this hour of the show, good morning to you. Stephen and Denise Pierce, good morning to you. Tuskers, Angelo, James Eubanks. We're in a break, of course. We'll be back on the radio together in just a few minutes, in about 2 minutes, with the Game of Thrones review. Last night, one of the worst. It really putting an incredible burden on me to have to watch Game of Thrones. I'm going to be so glad when Game of Thrones goes off the air. Not that it's actually on the air. You know what I mean. I wish that iHeartMedia wanted me to review like the Hallmark Channel or just something like that that would not be as difficult to stomach. All right, stand by. We're going to have traffic and weather. And right after the traffic and weather, the Game of Thrones review.
Laugh and listen today.
710 Time Saver Traffic from the Dean McCrary Audi Traffic Center.
Well, the big problem for a lot of you this morning is going to be the rain. There is heavy thunderstorms that's been moving sort of southeast through the area. Right now, the thickest of it passing through Baldwin County, Foley up to Daphne, Gulf Shores, and over to the Pensacola side, starting to see a lot of rain moving through the area, and there is the potential for street flooding as we go along here. Also, we have a train stopped on the tracks and blocking several intersections in Pensacola, including 9th Avenue and Gregory. With Time Saver Traffic, I'm Ray Romero.
This report is brought to you by LifeLock. It's morning. Here's an eye-opener. LifeLock can see more threats to your identity than you can see if you're just monitoring your credit. And if something happens, a U.S.-based specialist can work to fix it. Go to LifeLock.com. Use promo code RISK to save 10%.
Gulf Coast weather from Local 15 and the Kemco Metal Buildings Weather Center.
It is going to be a muggy Monday along the Gulf Coast. We've got about a 60% chance of storms today, so grab that umbrella. We'll top that at 89 degrees, overnight low of 74, and a 40% chance of storms by Tuesday. A high temperature of 91 degrees. I'm Kelly Foster for Local 15 News in this iHeartRadio station.
News? Check. Traffic and weather? Check. Opinions? Check. This is the Uncle Henry Show, only on News Radio 710 WNTM.
Thank you for listening to the Uncle Henry Show. News Radio 710 WNTM 99.5 FM The Jag. News headlines coming up in 10 minutes from Fox and from Local 15's Darwin. But first, before we get there, This is the Uncle Henry Show review of Game of Thrones, Season 7, Episode 2, entitled Stormborn, recorded in my living room immediately following viewing Game of Thrones. I'm joined in this week's review by KP of shirtbutter.com, Angelo of mobilebaycoins.com, Scotty White of scottywhite.com, and longtime caller Norman, who does not have a .com, but his nephew Brent has BrentTunes.com. I'll start the review by saying, even though there was only one cuss word in the entire episode, it was pure, unadulterated filth. The entire hour seemed to be a framework to put a pornography session in there. Man and woman stripping down characters that said almost nothing the entire run of the show suddenly start talking and get naked, and we have to put up with that. Then there's some women kissing and a bunch of stabbing. It was pure, unadulterated filth. Norman, your thoughts on this?
Well, you know, I enjoy a lot of the fighting and stuff, and you finally get some, you know, it was a whole lot better than that snoozer last week. But
how can it be better, though? There was 5 minutes of people taking their clothes off and jumping on top of each other.
Well, I'll address that later. I know that one thing in this episode made me feel like I need to go see my dermatologist. You know.
There was a man was skinned. Scotty White, you being younger, you probably enjoyed the nudity.
Well, I like a good love story. It's the conclusion of a good love story. Those two have, while they've been in the background, they have been eyeing each other for episode after episode. I'm so happy that they got together.
What, next week it's just going to be two people on the street go into a room and have relations?
I don't think it'll be like that. I mean, these are two lovers who are going to be separated by war. That's a great love story.
Angelo has had a great take on Game of Thrones and its boredom. What is your thought on this?
Quite honestly, I thought this was a great episode, and I know you didn't like
because naked people were in it.
No, actually, for the exact opposite. They put all the profanity and nudity into one little segment that you could clip out, and since there were these characters nobody really cares about, you could cut that out, watch the whole episode without that nudity in there, and it still flows and follows, and it's a great episode.
Well, other than that, what was great about it?
They're building things up. They ended with a great battle fight scene. Like you said, lots of stabbings. I'm a knife guy. There were a lot of stabbings. That was quite enjoyable.
That's true. You are a knife guy. And did you like that big knife thing the guy had on the boat? Whatever that was?
That was a little ridiculous.
It was like a club and a knife.
Yeah, multitasking there.
All right, KP, your thoughts?
I love the giant wolf that showed up. I don't know where he came from because I haven't been watching all the seasons. And I love the ship battle at the end where everybody was fighting and stabbing and Jack getting done. I love that part. But I could have done without the home surgery pus flowing scene where he's skinning the guy's skin off. And look, the naked stuff, whatever. It doesn't register on my radar. Whatever. I could have done without the two interns putting on a how-to video.
That's exactly what it was. Like the interns got naked in this. All right, so still, none of you have swayed me away from my opinion that it was pure filth. I mean, it really is not redeemable, is it?
Well, I can't say anything really bad about that because it's been years since I've seen young, pert body.
Hey, you don't want... Hey, listen, think about it from this standpoint. You don't want your little grandchildren to know you watched this. Wouldn't that be embarrassing for people to know you watched it?
They don't even need to have HBO. They don't need to be watching anything R-rated, but I'm an adult. I can watch...
That doesn't mean you have to put filth in your mind.
I just want to point out, you were the one that was breathing heavy, and you were the one that rewound it and watched...
I was sighing.
You were the one that rewound it and watched it again. I was like, oh, here we go again.
I did not rewind. Somebody wanted to see a transition and tricked me into rewinding it. Scotty, you have to realize this is... And you're a single male. You don't need to have this... You have no outlet for these feelings.
It's... Where do you go from there? At least with all the feelings and stuff, at least there was good shots of pie. There were good pot pie shots in that. Some delicious pot pie.
All right, we're running out of time. Your final thoughts on the episode?
It was wonderful. I liked it. 4 pot pies.
3.5 pot pies. No puss.
Giant wolf and pirate fight scene.
No dragons and 3 pot pies.
pure filth, irredeemable. Don't watch it. And that's our review of Game of Thrones. Yes, if you've never watched it, don't start watching it. If you have been watching it, it's a good jumping off point. The filth level is at a point where you could safely jump off of the show and save your mind from further pollution. And with that, we have news coming up. Thank goodness, actual information coming up from Fox and from Local 15's Darwin. I don't even want to know if Darwin watches Game of Thrones. I hope not. I pray not. The Uncle Henry Show continues. Thank you for listening. You can also watch on the News Radio 710 WNTM Facebook page.
This is a Bloomberg Market Minute. Wells Fargo is drawing renewed scrutiny after a lawyer's unauthorized release of sensitive client details for accounts belonging to wealthy customers of its brokerage unit. A recent data breach began with a financial spat between a pair of brothers, one current and one a former Wells Fargo employee. This comes 6 months after regulators disclosed that Wells Fargo employees had been opening potentially millions of retail accounts without customers' permission. Stock futures are slipping this morning while crude oil rises. S&P futures are down 4 points, Dow futures down 19. NYMEX crude is up 0.9%, just above $46 a barrel. Dating websites for prison inmates are popping up, according to Bloomberg Businessweek. Sites like loveaprisoner.com and inmatepassions.com promote companionship between those behind bars and those living outside the prison walls. Some prison reform advocates see it as a positive step toward rehabilitation. Several states are restricting or banning the sites. The full story is in this week's issue of Bloomberg Businessweek. Gina Cervetti, Bloomberg Radio.
I'm always interested in finding ways to save money, and there's a Gulf Coast organization set up to help local homeowners like me and you save. It's a nonprofit called Smart Home America. They've got a website, smarthomeamerica.org. It's become a one-stop resource for homeowners who want to save money. For example, personally, I find shopping for homeowners insurance confusing, intimidating. I'm never sure I'm covered the way I should be. smarthomeamerica.org has a homeowner's insurance buying guide to help. They also can teach you about re-roofing with a fortified roof. This is a roof that's safer. It can help you save on insurance and increase your property values. And smarthomeamerica.org also teaches about energy efficiency and more. Check it out yourself. The website is smarthomeamerica.org. Build a stronger home, save money, and get the right insurance. That's smarthomeamerica.org.
710 Time Saver Traffic from the Main Street Flooring and Design Traffic Center.
Well, the big problem for a lot of you this morning is going to be the rain. There is heavy thunderstorms that's been moving sort of southeast through the area. Right now, the thickest of it passing through Baldwin County, Foley up to Daphne, Gulf Shores, and over to the Pensacola side, starting to see a lot of rain moving through the area, and there is the potential for street flooding as we go along here. Also, we have a train stopped on the tracks and blocking several intersections in Pensacola, including 9th Avenue and Gregory. With Time Saver Traffic, I'm Ray.
I want to say good morning to those of you watching on Facebook. Hello, Facebook. Thank you so much for watching the Uncle Henry Show on Facebook. We're still in the radio break. And here in just a moment, I'm going to listen to Darwin, Local 15's Darwin, and the other news headlines, and I'll come right back after I hear those news breaks because I need to know what Darwin has to say. So stand by, back after Darwin and Fox News.
Radio News Update. Investigators are expected to be back on the campus of South Alabama today to explore why the Jags football indoor practice facility collapsed over the weekend. That $8 million facility, which was under construction, collapsed Saturday, but no workers were present when the roof came crashing down. The practice facility was set to be completed no later than this December. A house fire on Havre Way in Pensacola has left a man dead and his family homeless. Quentin Nunnis lived there along with 5 other family members. He said he was able to help 4 of his family members escape from the home, but due to the intensity of both heat and smoke, his stepfather couldn't make it out in time. For now, Nunnis says he can only salvage what he can. He says the Red Cross is helping with funds to stay in a hotel right now. A Washington County chief deputy is in stable condition this morning after that life-threatening crash last week. Chief Deputy Deshaun Holloway is recovering at USA Medical Center. He was injured after his patrol vehicle flipped multiple times and crashed near the Mississippi state line. That happened last week. According to AL.com, Holloway cannot speak, but has been trying to communicate. That crash remaining under investigation. News breaks while you sleep, so when you wake, we'll catch you up on what's happening along the Gulf Coast and around the world every weekday morning on Local 15 Today. We start at 5 a.m. I'm Local 15's Darwin Singleton for this iHeartRadio station.
Fox News Radio, I'm Paul Stevens. President Trump's son-in-law and advisor issuing a statement before he sits down behind closed doors today with the Senate Intelligence Committee.
Jared Kushner said documents he's providing show he had perhaps 4 contacts with Russian representatives out of the thousands during the campaign and the transition, and that those contacts were not memorable or impactful.
Fox's Rachel Sutherland in Washington. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer saying Democrats are unveiling a new economic plan, hoping to win back middle-class voters who chose President Trump.
It's called a better deal. It has 3 components. We're going to raise people's wages and create better paying jobs. We're going to cut down on their everyday expenses they have to pay, and we're going to give them the tools they need to compete in the 21st century.
Senator Schumer appearing Sunday on ABC's This Week. Fox News, we report, you decide.
The IRS.
And here we are back on Facebook. Hey, Facebook, thank you for watching the Uncle Henry Show on Facebook. For those that are still watching, thank you for that. I appreciate it very much. Coming up on the program, let's see, in about 20 minutes, I'll have Joe Gomez, NBC News Radio national correspondent, to talk about the change. Sean Spicer resigned as the press secretary. And there's a new communications director, and Sarah Huckabee Sanders, I guess, is the new press secretary. So we'll get into all of that. That, to me, seems like it would be a very difficult job, especially when you don't know. You think you know what the stance of the administration is, but then you don't really know because things get tweeted out that maybe you've never talked about before. So seems like it would be a rough job. A rough job. Having to go to work and almost do battle. So Sean Spicer. And where do you go from there? After you've been mocked, he's been as mocked as anybody has been mocked recently. Where do you go from there? So we'll get into that with Joe Gomez as we get up with him in about 15 minutes on the Uncle Henry Show. All right, and back on the radio in less than a minute. I also saw that the Federal Trade Commission is allegedly investigating Amazon and the way Amazon promotes its pricing, which I'm curious about, because when they tell me I'm getting a deal, I never really know if it's a deal. And I guess the Federal Trade Commission wants to make sure that it is actually a deal if they say it's a deal. So I'm curious as to how that goes. All right, stand by. We go back to radio.
Rush every weekday at 11. This is the Uncle Henry Show on News Radio 710 WNTM.
Uncle Henry Show. Thank you for listening to the Uncle Henry Show. Coming up in about 15 minutes, Joe Gomez, NBC News Radio national correspondent, will talk about the departure of Sean Spicer and other things. You know, Sean Spicer was just mercilessly mocked. And from the very beginning, I think day one, he got into some kind of a big argument with the press. And so it was rough. He had a rough road from day one in the job of press secretary. And he was mocked, and I'm sure you've heard, even if you don't watch Saturday Night Live, you probably heard that famous female comedian Melissa McCarthy dressed up like him and was a big hit. People seemed to really love her mocking Sean Spicer. I'm curious, though, will it be any different for the new press secretary, the young lady? Is it Sarah Huckabee Sanders, the daughter of Governor Huckabee? I wonder if it'll be, because they mocked, they of course mocked Sarah Palin mercilessly. And did some mockery of Hillary Clinton through the years, although they clearly were in her corner. I wonder if they'll go easier on the next press secretary due to gender. Simply because people, even though we are trying to have a society where gender isn't as important, or we want to pretend there's no such thing as distinctions between gender, people naturally, I think, tend to step in and want to defend when a woman is attacked more than when a man is attacked. So I'm very curious as to how this will go, how she'll be treated. If they make fun of the way she looks, that would probably be a mistake on their part. Now, they made fun of things that Sarah Palin said and Sarah Palin's family and tried to portray her as a buffoon. That's different from making fun of the way somebody looks. And so that's something I am curious about. Will she have it a little bit, will they take it a little easier on her? Probably not. We'll talk to Joe Gomez about that. That changing of the guard coming up later this half hour. We have traffic and weather together every 10 minutes on the 9s, and then right back with more show.
710 Time Saver Traffic from the Dean McCrary Kia Traffic Center.
A recent run on morning thunderstorms is continuing today. There's a lot of heavy rain continuing to push through the area. This is a system that's kind of been coming down southeast through Mississippi for much of the morning, now really being felt along the Gulf Coast. So just be aware of that. Roadways very slick and hazardous. A couple of early morning accidents on the board as well, the most recent on Moffett Road and Wolf Ridge. With Time Saver Traffic, I'm Ray Romero.
This report is brought to you by LifeLock. It's morning. Here's an eye-opener. LifeLock can see more threats to your identity than you can see if you're just monitoring your credit. And if something happens, a U.S.-based specialist can work to fix it. Go to LifeLock.com. Use promo code RISK to save 10%.
Gulf Coast weather from Local 15 and the Kemco Metal Buildings Weather Center.
It is going to be a muggy Monday along the Gulf Coast. We've got about a 60% chance of storms today, so grab that umbrella. We'll top that at 89 degrees, overnight low of 74, and a 40% chance of storms by Tuesday. A high temperature of 91 degrees. I'm Kelly Foster for Local 15 News in this iHeartRadio station.
This report is brought to you by LifeLock. It's morning. Here's an eye-opener. LifeLock can see more threats to your identity than you can see if you're just monitoring your credit. And if something happens, a U.S.-based specialist can work to fix it. Go to LifeLock.com. Use promo code RISK to save 10%.
We love Nick Saban. Just wanted to get that out of the way. This is the Uncle Henry Show on News Radio 710 WNTM.
Uncle Henry Show. Thank you for listening to the Uncle Henry Show. Coming up in about 10 minutes, we'll talk to Joe Gomez, NBC News Radio national correspondent, about Sean Spicer's resignation and other things. President Trump is going to give a statement on health care this afternoon, a little after 2 o'clock in the afternoon. In a press release, he says that he's going to meet with victims of Obamacare. So that is later this afternoon. Now, over the weekend, the president tweeted about a variety of topics. One of the topics was the idea of a pardon. He tweeted, quote, "While all agree the U.S. president has the complete power to pardon, why think of that when the only crime so far is leaks against us?" And so that started a big discussion online about pardons. Yes, he has the power to do it, but should he? One of his attorneys, one of his personal attorneys, Jay Sekulow, went on ABC's This Week and had this to say.
We have not and continue to not have conversations with the President of the United States regarding pardons. Pardons have not been discussed, and pardons are not on the table.
Okay. Now, but they're in the tweet. So you may not have had the discussion yet, but you're probably going to be having it's not on the table, but it's in the tweet. Sekulow was asked if the president is looking into pardoning himself.
We're not researching the issue because the issue of pardons is not on the table. There's nothing to pardon from.
Okay. Well, it's not on the table, but in the tweet. So, yeah, he's got the power. I don't know about pardoning himself. I've never heard of that. But we can look back on lots of presidential pardons in our nation's history of various figures, with Ford pardoning Nixon, Jimmy Carter blanket pardon of draft dodgers, Bill Clinton and Mark Rich. There's long lists of people that have been pardoned. So if the president wanted to, he certainly could. He could come out with a list of everybody that keeps getting called up to talk about Russia and pardon all of them. Now that probably wouldn't stop committee hearings and investigations, but it would certainly, no one would be prosecuted for anything. And that might start some additional impeachment talk, but he certainly does have the ability to do all that. And we heard his attorney sound very upset that it's not on the table, even though it certainly was tweeted. So the president wanted it maybe not on the table, but discussed. Just to remind everybody that he does have the ability to stop all this if he wants to stop it with that pardon power. You think about it, that is really one of the most powerful powers of a president. There's more to come next on the Uncle Henry Show. We'll talk to Joe Gomez, NBC News Radio national correspondent, about Sean Spicer and other things.
You've You've heard the news.
It's a new generation of missiles.
You know the story.
All options are on the table.
Now it's time to share your opinion.
We have a very serious issue in the world right now called North Korea.
News Radio 710, WNTM.
When was the last time you walked out of a mattress store feeling confident about your purchase? These places exist for one reason. For a highly trained, commission-driven salesperson to dupe you into spending way too much money on a mattress. Hi, my name is Neil, and I'm one of the co-founders of Casper. Casper was created with a single goal in mind: deliver a great night's sleep at an incredible value. So we hired a team of engineers and designers to develop a single perfect mattress that sleeps cool and has just the right sink and bounce. We sell the Casper mattress online, skipping the markups of mattress stores, and we let you try it out in your own home for 100 nights risk-free. In less than 3 years, we've rapidly become the internet's favorite mattress. In fact, it now has more than 20,000 reviews with an average of 4.8 stars. Try us out today.
Simply go to Casper.com and use code EVENT to get $50 towards your mattress purchase. Terms and conditions apply. That's gift code EVENT at Casper.com for $50 towards your mattress purchase. Casper.com. Thanks for checking us out.
I'm Scott Armstrong with Kimco Metal Buildings. Whether you need a building for commercial, storage, church, or community use, Kimco has been designing and constructing the highest quality steel buildings for our customers for almost 50 years. Kimco will use state-of-the-art software and our many years of experience to help you custom design your new metal building. Check out our website at kimcobuildings.com. That's KEMKO, or call us at 251-626-0594.
If you've been waiting to buy a new RV, now is the time to go get one at RVs Unlimited. Here's Jeremy and Ed Strickler.
It is time for the 2018s already in the RV industry. They come out a little sooner than the cars do in the fall, so the 17s have to go. And we would love to find them a good home, and we are offering a 25% discount on all the remaining 17 models on the lot. So this is the best savings of the year right now.
And some as much as 40% off.
Yeah, and 25% is the starting point. We have some as much as 40% off.
So great deals on new RVs and on pre-owned RVs at RVs Unlimited in Robertsdale. Remember, they don't play games with you. There's no haggling at RVs Unlimited, and they don't tack on hidden dealer fees at the end of the transaction. These are people that make customer service a specialty. RVs Unlimited in Robertsdale. You'll find out more information online at rvsunlimited.com.
When Mexico sends its people, they're not sending their best.
Hi, I'm Congressman Mo Brooks. President Donald Trump promised to build a border wall to keep us safe and protect American jobs for American workers. But Democrats, and even some Republicans, obstruct funding for President Trump's wall. I make you this promise. Elect Mo Brooks to the U.S. Senate, and I will fight to fund the border wall. Right now, Chuck Schumer and the Democrats use the filibuster rule to kill our conservative America First agenda. Well, two can play that game. We must fight fire with fire. If I have to go to the Senate floor and filibuster to fund the border wall, I will do exactly that. America will build a border wall to keep us safe and to protect American jobs for American workers, or you will know the name of every senator who stands in our way and betrays the American people. I'm Congressman Mo Brooks. If you support a border wall, then vote Mo Brooks for Senate. I'm Mo Brooks, and I approve this message.
710 Time Saver Traffic from the Main Street Flooring and Design Traffic Center.
Drivers through downtown Pensacola are experiencing a lot of train trouble this morning. There is a very long train, an estimated 11,000 feet long, in fact, that's blocking several intersections in downtown Pensacola as the train is stopped on the tracks. 9th Avenue and Gregory among them, several others as well. Still looking at a crash in Mobile and Moffett and Wolf Ridge, and a lot of heavy rain continues to move through the area. With Time Saver Traffic, I'm Ray Romero.
This report is brought to you by LifeLock. It's morning. Here's an eye-opener. LifeLock can see more threats to your identity than you can see if you're just monitoring your credit. And if something happens, a U.S.-based specialist can work to fix it. Go to LifeLock.com. Use promo code RISK to save 10%.
Now, Gulf Coast weather from Local 15.
Happy Monday, everybody. You will need to keep that umbrella close today. Our storm coverage is going to be at about 60%. Highs today will struggle to reach 89 degrees. We're going to have additional clouds, rain-cooled air. Overnight low will be dropping into the 70s. And then for your Tuesday and Wednesday, we are back in the 90s with less in the way of storm coverage. I'm Kelly Foster for Local 15 News in this iHeartRadio station.
This morning at 9, Ask the Expert. Then Rush at 11. Right now, it's Uncle Henry on News Radio 710 WNTM.
Thank you for listening to the Uncle Henry Show here on News Radio 710 WNTM 99.5 FM, The Jag. I want to welcome back to the Uncle Henry Show, NBC News Radio national correspondent Joe Gomez. Joe, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
So, big shakeup in the White House communications office, right? Sean Spicer resigned.
Yeah, that was, I don't know if it was entirely unexpected, but I think it was very abrupt that Sean Spicer would resign last Friday after Anthony Scaramucci was named as White House communications director. And Scaramucci is somebody that has been around New York circles for a long time. I guess he was born there, and he also went on to spend decades on Wall Street, where he earned millions, and also earned the nickname the Mooch, I guess. But I guess Sean Spicer did not like the direction that the team was going in with the hiring of Scaramucci, and so decided that he was going to move on. So at the end of August, he'll be leaving his position. Sarah Huckabee Sanders will be press secretary, so she'll be the face that you'll see presumably on television every day, and then Scaramucci will be the brains, I guess, behind the scenes.
Now, this story that I read about it, I guess it was the New York Times that had the story. There just seemed to be a lot of details, like Sean Spicer telling the president that he thought the president was making a big mistake hiring Scaramucci. And allegedly friends of Sean Spicer saying that the reason that he didn't want cameras at the press briefings is because President Trump would critique his TV appearances and really give him a dressing down after he was on TV, so he didn't want his boss to see him on TV. I mean, it sounds like Sean Spicer or his friends were leaking to the press.
Yeah, I mean, that could be the case, and it would make sense, I guess, because Scaramucci yesterday said that that the leaks were going to stop, and that the environment, I guess, in the communications team has been kind of like something out of Mean Girls, and that if they were not going to stop the leaks, that is, that he was going to basically just fire everybody. So if the leaks were coming from Sean Spicer and his friends, and Sean Spicer is no longer there, then I guess it would make sense that the leaks would come to an end.
Now, what about the reaction to Scaramucci there? Because there were claims that other people were blindsided by him being hired and didn't want him there. So is this causing more waves among the staff?
Yeah, it might cause more animosity. I mean, I saw a report out of the National Review that had some insider descriptions of what happened, I guess in naming Scaramucci as communications director. You had somebody like Steve Bannon, I think Reince Priebus, chief of staff, obviously good friends with Sean Spicer, who had came up to Scaramucci and said that they were going to do everything they could to block him from being appointed to that position, and he laughed at them because he apparently had already been successful at getting the job in talking with President Trump directly. So, Scaramucci strikes me as somebody who obviously is more probably from the president's own mind and background, and can probably divine more of what President Trump has to say a bit easier than Spicer or anybody else can. And so I think the president, after a couple of tumultuous, 6 months, it seems like he might be growing more and more inclined to trying to bring in people from his past business life as opposed to more of the people who are of the political world.
Well, doesn't that make sense? Because he is not, with the number of leaks coming out of there, he's got to wonder if he can trust anybody that he didn't know from before he was elected.
Well, you're right. I mean, that's a very good point. And I think the majority of the staff and the aides that have come in have been people that have basically come in from the RNC that were friends or acquaintances or of RNC chief of staff or former RNC chair, but now Chief of Staff Reince Priebus. And so you have to wonder, how this speaks about Priebus's future if Sean Spicer is gone, and if it turns out that a lot of the leaks are from these RNC people, a lot of whom probably did not support Trump early on, I would imagine anyways. They probably were more supportive of a more establishment-type candidate, because how much more establishment can you get than running the RNC?
Right. So it would be no surprise for the president to continue to bring in people that he trusts from outside government. He was told he needed people from the inside to help him navigate things, and that hadn't worked really well. So it wouldn't be a big surprise then to see more people get hired from outside of government to come in and work with him.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's made it clear that he wants to have more people with a kind of business sentimentality that can take that approach and maybe apply it to politics. But at the same time, he was hoping to find his inside man in Washington, D.C. But, I mean, look, has that been successful for him? So far, he's not been able to get health care passed. He hasn't been able to get anything done when it comes to Congress, really, with the exception of appointing a Supreme Court justice. I mean, the majority of what he's been able to do has been through executive orders. So I'm not sure if this whole, inside man approach is necessarily working as well as he thought it would.
Well, before you running short on time here, do you think, Joe Gomez, will it be any easier for Sarah Huckabee Sanders?
I would imagine it would be to some degree, because Sean Spicer was ripe with material there. Sarah Huckabee Sanders, obviously she's a woman, she's not a man. You'd think that because members of the press would want to be politically correct, they wouldn't attack her as much. But already, we've seen some attacks about her physical appearance kind of coming out. So, to be honest, I don't know. It'll be entirely dependent on how she handles things.
All right, Joe Gomez, thanks for your time.
Okay, thanks.
There he goes, Joe Gomez, NBC News Radio national correspondent. More Uncle Henry Show to come after the news. We have news from Local 15's Darwin, news from Fox, and then additional hours of Uncle Henry Show.